Oh, win it to win it. Oh, hello, everyone. Hello. How are you all doing today? I hope that you are all having a fabulous, fabulous Saturday. I know I am. And today, since I had some time, finally, I thought that it would be good if we went through the amended lawsuit. So we're just going to go through the whole lawsuit again. It's been amended a bit. And we're just going to discuss what's going on once again with my favorite scam, which of course is OnPassive. We got lots of pink hands waving. Make sure you leave me lots of pink hands waving. That's the best thing ever. That's what they use, in case you're wondering why whenever we stream, people come in with pink hands waving. It's because that's all their live stream chats will be. It'll just be everyone coming in with pink hands. Hello, Alves. Good to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Good to see you, April. Hope you're also having a wonderful day. Redemption Cycle. Good to see you as well. In it to scam it. So, as you guys are probably aware, I hope that you're aware. If not, welcome to my channel because you must be new. OnPassive got a lawsuit basically started with the Securities and Exchange Commission back in August, which is not that long ago. And so they're being sued for $108 million for securities fraud. And I guess on the 6th of November here, they amended it. So we're going to go through it today. A real unicorn company don't need to say they are, but Forbes and their sales say they are. And see, and that's the thing, is that there have not been sales yet in this company, like real ones. People have bought the OConnect app as of this moment. They were supposed to pay for their first 3 months. And the thing hasn't been working. It has not been working, especially up to where it's supposed to be. So they have set a court date, and we've already kind of talked about that. But I think it's important that we go over these documents. So this is the amended complaint for permanent injunctive and other relief and demand for a jury trial, which I kind of hope it goes to a jury trial. I mean, Ash deserves whatever happens to him. My opinion. Plaintiff Securities and Exchange Commission, the S.E.C, I'm probably going to call it the S.E.C throughout this video, or commission, like that's what they'll be calling it, for its amended complaint against ASHRAF, MUFAREH, the C.E.O. of the company, which started in June of 2018. So there's no excuse for it to not be like producing products left, right, and center, selling them all over the place. It's been going for like 5 years now, right? OnPassive LLC, which will be known as OnPassive or the company, or collectively, if they're talking about Ash and the company, they'll just say the defendants. And the relief defendant is Asmahan MUFAREH, which is his wife. And apparently a lot of the stuff to do with this company was also put in her name. There's a few reasons why I believe that could be. And if you're not aware, Ash has run several different scams in the past and has been a part of several different scams in the past. He was a part of Pay Diamond, which was shut down as a pyramid scheme. He was a part of Telex Free, which shut down as a pyramid scheme. And he was a part of GDI, and I believe he is still a part of GDI. I've only gotten confirmation that he's in GDI, like actively still. I believe even to this day he's still in it. And it's iffy itself. He has also run AshMax, which was his original pyramid scheme that got shut down. So his credit probably isn't the greatest. And a lot of us believe that since his credit is probably not the greatest, in order for him to even have another company, right, he would have had to have somebody sign on with him, like a co-signer. And that's how his poor wife gets dragged into it. She doesn't have much to do with the company. She just likes to go get her nails did and go to the spa on the money that it makes, you know? So it says that they alleges as follows. Okay? This is what's up. The summary. Number 1, this enforcement action arises out of defendants' fraudulent and unregistered offering of securities, in connection with which, among other things, defendants engaged in an illegal pyramid scheme and made materially false and misleading statements to investors in the United States and around the world. Beginning in July 2018 to the present, which will be known as the relevant period throughout this, MUFAREH, in his individual capacity, and later through Unpassive, an illicit multi-level marketing MLM company operating as a pyramid scheme, claimed to be developing a suite of computer applications, you know, like their O Connect, the O Tracker, the O Bless, O Academy. Each of those are computer applications, right? Using artificial intelligence, AI, or as we know him here as Al, as Ash calls him, Al with heart. He might not even be allowed to be a corporate office from a prior agreement or something. Don't know of one or not, but it's possible with the S.E.C. Yes. A lot of us believe something had to have happened where he had to sign his wife on to this stuff, you know? In the world of our Lord, everyone deserves a sixth chance, a bazillionth chance. Go say a couple Hail Marys, you can sin all you want. Unpassive is the most ethical company on earth. I'm going to assume that was sarcasm. But yeah, according to Ash, the artificial intelligence has heart. And it would seamlessly interface with one another in an ecosystem, which is that's why it's the OES. That stands for on-passive ecosystem, right? Similar to applications offered by established, well-known multinational tech companies such as Apple, such as, like, he compares himself to Steve Jobs a lot and, you know, that kind of thing. He's even compared himself to Elon Musk a couple times. I'm like, okay. Ostensibly to finance the development of the applications and the creation of the ecosystem from inception, which they consider to be July of 2018. The company was registered as a company, as an LLC, I believe it was June 1st, 2018. But they didn't start really promoting it and doing like this stuff listed in this lawsuit until July, really, right? So from July 2018 through to June 22nd of 2022, good old Ash and Unpassive pitched potential investors on the opportunity to buy for $97 a position in the pyramid structure, locking in their positions before any launch, as defined below, of the purported product and before others began buying into the scheme in future. Therefore, anyone that would have purchased this $97 and bought a spot would be a part of the very top of this scheme. Which, that sounds scummy in itself, right? If you're in an MLM, you're not supposed to be able to buy a place in the top 1%. That is a pyramid scheme, more than an MLM. Investors taking advantage of this early bird, which they put in quotations, promotion called founders, more specifically O-founders, were assured a higher placement in the pyramid, and higher returns. So that's another thing that's iffy. Promising people higher returns, especially for buying a place in a pyramid structure, is considered making illegal income claims. Then later investors waiting to buy into the scheme by making a product purchase and commencing payment of a monthly subscription after the product launch. So, in other words, they were paying to be paid the most money to, like I said, be in the 1% at the top of this thing. That's what the $97 bought you, a spot at the top of the pyramid. And of course, you would get more returns because everyone would be put underneath you. You know what I'm saying? And it is a commission-based business, as all MLMs are. Like as if Mother Teresa copied open source software. If OnPassive is closed down, imagine the billions of dollars that will be bid by Google, Apple, Facebook for OMail, ONet, OConnect. I know, they're going to go crazy for it. Pink hand waving back to you, Suresh. Robert says, I was dumb enough to pay $97 in 2020. I'm with Albs. I would like to know if you ever did get your refund, which Ash promised to give at the time that you paid in. Even, I believe, he said that he would refund anyone if they didn't want to be a part of it. I'd have to kind of go back in some of my notes because, you know, he goes back and forth with the refund thing. For a few months, he's fine with refunding, and then he goes to, oh, you're not getting it, and then that's why it's such a fuck around yet, right? I didn't get my money back yet, waiting on the S.E.C. thing to get my refund. Awesome. Not awesome you didn't get your money yet, just I hope that you are a part of this. Make sure you contact the Securities and Exchange Commission and let them know if you haven't already, because this is technically like a group lawsuit against OnPassive. Yes, it's the S.E.C. that's going after them, but the $108 million that they want him to pay back for restitution, that's supposed to be going to anyone like Robert here, who paid in and then kind of got fucked over. Even if you're in Canada, as am I'm over here in Ottawa, you should still be able to just write them and let them know. I believe it would still apply to you. I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe I should look into it a bit more, but definitely get a hold of the S.E.C. anyway. And just kind of say, hi, I'm over here in Canada. The good news is that after this goes through with the S.E.C., depending on the findings, which is going to take a couple of years, the court date isn't for another couple of years, it will be easy to get it shut down in other places or to have other places go after it. So that's the good news. It's already been booted from some places, so like it will never be in Bhutan. Okay, so there's that, I guess. So, I mean, they did really sell the top spot in a pyramid scheme, like without hiding it. They were like, if you come in as a founder, you're going to be at the very top, as with all pyramid schemes, except this time, you're like guaranteed that spot no matter what. So, in addition to these like early bird founder promotions, defendants represented to potential investors that once product launch occurred, the investors and others would eventually be able to make a one-time initial payment to purchase a purported product package. And then also, on top of that, pay a monthly subscription fee to use the purported application. Which now it sounds like we're paying twice, Investors making these payments would, in the case of founders, retain placement in, or in the case of new investors, obtain placement in the pyramid structure, the MLM structure, the lovely triangle chart. And again, at the top of it. Moreover, investors would be eligible to receive as a commission a portion of monthly subscription fees paid by those placed after them in the pyramid structure. And if you remember, they were also told that they would not have to do anything to have anyone underneath them, right? I mean, that's the whole reason why it's called on passive. It's supposed to be passive income. Don't have to do anything. But as with all MLMs, of course, then they're but make sure you stay engaged and you work real hard promoting and you spend 500 hours a week on webinars. And so the whole thing about this is basically you come in, you pay your fees, you get your subscription, you sit back, and you just let the cash roll in, baby, while you're using these amazing products with their AI and machine learning, I always tell people, don't feel dumb if you fall for something like this, because people like Ash and the LCs in this thing, like Marty and Red and all them, good old Chris too. Hi, Chris! Everyone say hi, Chris! I know you're watching, Chris. I hope you're having a good day. William Shatner with your eyes closed. Their whole gig is to scam and manipulate and lie and trick people. The rest of us have other things going on in our lives. So if you can kind of think how someone would come across this opportunity, and think it's a decent opportunity, especially in the first while that it was going, Everyone's like, I doubt Chris is here. I'm like, I don't know. He really did make it sound like he watched every single video that the recovering Hunbot or anyone ever did on Passive, ever. He got very upsetty spaghetti at her trivia. Then they were very, very upset that she had released all the videos in different languages, which is fucking amazing, and I love it. Hi, Joe. I hope you're having a good day. So he might be here, Mordecai. He might be. He might be watching us. So I figure, just in case he is, just throw him a hello. Say, hey, Chris, how are you? So I think it's funny that they bring up the commission here, right? So you pay for a high spot in the pyramid, then you don't have to do anything, and randomly you're making commissions and people are being placed under you. And he was always adamant that it would always be very equal and even, right? And that the placement would be it would synchronize, so whoever the first one was that signed up, they would get the first person underneath them. If you were the second one to sign up, you'd get the next person, and so on. It was all going to be very, very equal, fair, and you weren't going to have to do anything to place these people. And it goes on to say that here, basically. As the name On Passive implies, MUFAREH and On Passive promoted the scheme as a passive income opportunity by emphasizing that investors did not have to do anything other than make a one-time purchase of product and pay monthly subscription fees, and in the case of founders, the $97 fee to receive commissions. And the $97 fee went from being a one-time thing to being a yearly thing to, so it jumped around a little bit. Nothing was ever fully set in stone with this damn thing. There was never a business plan or a compensation plan made or any of that. So it was all very much like Ash and the LCs in this thing, which is like the top group, like Marty and Chris and like Mike Ellis, who I haven't seen too much lately, by the way. He kind of fell off a bit. But they were always like, those guys. And they're like the main ones. And yeah, so defendants represent. I feel like I'm like starting to explain things that they're gonna already say. That I should just shut up. Defendants represented that they would engage in a marketing campaign once they effected product launch, which we're still not technically in that yet, to recruit other participants and direct the traffic to websites Unpassive created for each founder, and participants joining post-launch using an automated process, which I never got the whole each founder needed their own website thing, because if you didn't have the people you marketed to sign up underneath you, because Ash was doing it in order, it shouldn't matter, because usually in an MLM, it's like, okay, you're going to be my downline, so you have to click my link to join. You know what I mean? But that shouldn't have even really been a thing over here in Unpassive, due to the fact that it was supposed to go in order. So I never fully understood why it was so amazing that they all had their own websites to have traffic directed to them for, if their traffic doesn't turn into their downline. Essentially everyone's marketing this thing for everyone at all times. It was just weird. And as you see, everything was going to be automated. That was very, very important. MUFAREH and Onpassive also incentivized participants to recruit as many other participants as possible, claiming a participant's recruits would be placed under the participant and be sources of commissions paid to the participant. Right? But then it wasn't necessarily going to be right underneath you, because there was a certain order it had to go in and blah, 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 because again, there was never a business plan or a compensation plan written up, and they would all just talk out their asses for whatever sounded best in the moment. Further, MUFAREH and Onpassive incentivized participants to purchase multiple $97 positions in the pyramid to maximize the number of passive income streams. Now, Ash claims, because he did a little response to this that the Recovering Hunbot covered, and Ash always claims that this never happened. He'll be like, when did I tell people to open up multiple accounts? Okay? I never did that. That was never a thing. And it's like, Ash, we have sat there and seen you on a live stream saying it out of your own mouth. So yes, you did. You told people to sign up their unborn babies in a few streams. I literally heard that come out of your mouth with my own 2 ears. I was reacting to you on the Recovering Hunbot's channel. She heard it too, and so did all the chat. So it wasn't a fucking delusion. You said it. He knows damn well he said it. This is just always the one thing that he tends to deny. It's funny, he denies saying this more than he denies that he took his wife to the spa on everyone's money. Okay, for some reason, I think he knows that this looks really bad. Because why would you need multiple different positions? You know what I mean? You don't need different accounts in this thing Because then essentially we were all wondering, well, then would each account have to buy the product? So each account that you own, $250 is now going to OConnect. So if you have 2 accounts, you're going to want to download OConnect twice into your home somehow. I guess one on a laptop and one on a tablet or something, and pay for it twice. So you've put $500 into this. Like, that sounds ridiculous, right? It sounds stupid. So that it's not doable. It should have never been a thing, and it sounds really bad with Ash telling people to do that. But he most certainly did. I heard it. And I heard him tell people to sign up their children. I heard him tell people, literally in the one stream, he almost makes a joke of it. And he's like, yeah, you should even sign up non-born children. Ha ha. And then he was like, yeah, but no, really, you should actually all do that. Like, are any of you expecting? Because you could start them off in life with it was like, oh my God, Ash. And there are children working in this thing. So, you know. Thank you, Joe, for becoming a member for 31 months. I heard Queen cry when I told her that Marty signed up his 2-year-old grandson. Yes. Yes. And that's what I mean. Like, so it's like, if you're saying things like that, obviously you want households and people to have multiple accounts. Like, don't tell me you didn't say that. Mordecai says the pyramid structure was random as the leader didn't have affiliate links till very late. And that was the other thing, right? Is that not only do they not all have their very own website as promised, but then they were told that they would be given those affiliate links, and that didn't happen for so long. And it was like, okay, but you're telling them to sign up people already. So, like, how do they get placed under the person if there is no website with the fucking affiliate link that links directly to being your downline, you know? Because all of the MLMs have a similar, like, ecosystem to it. It had one. S.E.C had one. All of them have this. And then you can, like, run your team from it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not new. I know Ash thinks that he did something crazy innovative over here by creating this. They all have something like that. And usually, like when I was in S.E.C, I had my own little S.E.C website that I would send out. All right. So, like, instead of it just being S.E.C.com, you went to S.E.C.com/Queendom of Sense or some bullshit. I think that's what it was called. And then it would, when you click the join link, it was like an affiliate link. So it would link you to being my downline directly under me. There was no way to do that over here. Like, at all. Like, no website to do it with a button. There's no affiliate link. Like, they just got them. Even then, like, now they can't do anything with it. They don't really have a compensation thing going. You know? It's a weird system. Excuse me. And as they say here, it says, there was no reason an individual would purchase multiple positions other than to increase the individual's potential for income. Right? Like you would think, but then it doesn't really, because then you would also have to then pay the $97 for each one of those positions, plus again, buy the product through each one of those positions. So in reality, there's no reason. There's just no reason. The offer and sale of the opportunity to participate in the on-passive pyramid scheme, which I love how throughout this whole thing, they call it on-passive pyramid scheme. I tried to explain this to Ash. I was like, Ash, it's a fact now. And yes, I did get to say this directly to him during one of his webinars. Because I was like, it's a fact now that you're a pyramid scheme. Like, there are legal documents that say this is a fact. This unpassive thing, pyramid scheme. And then in the lawsuit, it literally calls you guys the pyramid scheme throughout. Like, it's literally like the unpassive pyramid scheme. And he's like, no. Here it is, Ash. Making people in Central Africa sign up their unborn children is more or less the lowest you can go. That's some fucking colonial style shit right there. Not only that, but he would actually talk about generational wealth. Generational wealth isn't like that big of a thing here in US and Canada and Western society as much as it is to other places. Where generational wealth is extremely, extremely important. And he knew that. And he knows what language, you know? He knows what language he's using. He's kind of right on that. It's an S.E.C. allegation until he's convicted or pleads guilty and agrees to it. I gotta give that one to him. Yeah. You must have said it to him on Zoom, or he wouldn't have heard you say it. It was on Zoom. It was. So, again, they call it a pyramid scheme. So the offer and sale of opportunity to participate in unpassive involves investments of money in a common enterprise with an expectation of profits to come from the effort of others. Well, like, MLMs do. As such, the unpassive opportunity is an investment contract and therefore a security. All right? The offering and sale of the unpassive investment contract have never been registered with the S.E.C. and no exemption from registration applies. Now, allegedly, I've quoted that wrong. I don't know. I got a lot of people that were like, you were wrong. You said that unpassive wasn't registered with the S.E.C. and that's wrong. This is what I meant, okay? The offering and sale of the unpassive investment contract have never been registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and no exemption from registration applies. That's what I was talking about. Just want to make that known. Because allegedly in me reading that part or talking about that part, I've apparently spread misinformation somehow. And I don't know how, because I've literally just repeated this sentence. The offering and sale of the investment contract have never been registered with the S.E.C. and no exemption from registration applies. In furtherance of their fraudulent pyramid scheme, MUFAREH and OnPassive knowingly and recklessly made repeated, materially false and misleading statements and omissions concerning, among other things, the timing of product launch, which we're still technically awaiting, right? Like, O-Connect has not really been launched as a product yet. They're still working out wrinkles and whatnot, which would trigger commission payments, which again, that hasn't started happening yet either. The potential income to be earned, and the soundness and legality of their operations. Because it's not sound or legal operations that that went over here, okay? In furtherance of their fraudulent pyramid scheme, MUFAREH and OnPassive, to counter negative reviews of them on existing MLM review websites, also furtively created counterfeit websites on which OnPassive personnel at MUFAREH's direction as an Ash, not his wife, Ash, then posted internally generated positive reviews of Ash and OnPassive, falsely passing them off as objective third-party reviews. You guys might remember like when the Recovering Hanbot and I were first covering this together. We did a couple streams where we read through some like reviews and whatnot, because they were pumping out reviews like crazy at the beginning. They've slowed down on it a little bit, but at that time they were putting out like posters with like Ash's head on somebody else's body, and then it would have like a quote from someone that was allegedly an OnPassive, right? But then the quote would be something like, "Oh, bless, saved my entire family's generational wealth." And we'd be like, "Oh, bless isn't like a product yet. Like it's not in creation. So like how have you used it, decided you liked it, and then been able to review it when it literally, even right now, by the way, Obless still isn't a thing. You can go find people talking about how great Obless is. All right. And it's like, dude, this hasn't been turned into a thing. Academy taught me so much. And we're like, Academy isn't a thing yet. How are there people say that these products are good when they literally don't exist? Like, obviously, these are fake. Like you can't get more fake than having a company with products that aren't even in fruition yet. All right? Like, not made at all. They're still in the drawing boards. The techs are still in the planning process. But people are like, oh yeah, I use that. That's 5 stars. It's like, no. Okay? That shit's fake as fuck. Like, and there's been reviews since the beginning. And it's like, even now, you would only really review O-Connect, O-Tracker, O-Net, right? Maybe talk about the OES and how great Ash is. But you wouldn't be hearing about Academy and Obless. And I promise you, if you go look up reviews on this thing, you will find a lot on Obless, Academy, how much this thing's changed people's life and given them financial freedom. And it's like, you haven't got any compensation here at all yet. So how did that happen? Are you like, is Ash paying you under the table and we just don't know what's going on? You know? It's very, very weird. Chris has trouble with his eyes that make it look like he's sleeping when he's not, but it only flares up when Marty is repeating the same story for the 11th straight day. Right? They were paying for those 100%. Someone posted on a Jeffrey Morlock video that they had several O-Connect sales back in 2022. Right? And I was laughing at Jeffrey because of it while he did damage control. That shit used to pop up all the time. And exactly, you'd be like, but it's not for sale. Like, it hasn't been released as a product yet. What do you mean you made several O-Connect sales? It didn't have a price on it yet. How much did you charge them? Should we be worried? Like what the fuck, you know? But literally all the time, people would claim this all over the place. And they did this in actual reviews. So I bet you when the S.E.C started this, it was so easy for them to find that. It's everywhere. You know? You're in it to win it. In it to win it. You got to win the lawsuit first, though. I'm just saying. So yeah, like, obviously, there were no third-party reviews to be had here, since there was no products being sold to anyone on the outside of OnPassive, right? And therefore, there were no customers. Like, to the S.E.C. and to the rest of the world, third-party reviews means by a customer that is not connected as a distributor to this thing in any way, shape, or form. It's a literal customer, and a customer on their own decides to do the review. Sure, you can say like, hey, please review us on our website. You're allowed to do that. But you're not supposed to be like, I really need you to go on the website and make sure you give us a 5-star review. Go do it. And it's actually illegal to push a third party into doing that. Well, here it is. I'm sure it also goes against some things in the US too. Like, you're not supposed to be, that's fraud. They take that stuff pretty seriously, especially here in Canada. Like, consumer protection is a huge thing here. So, you can't pressure a third party into doing good reviews on you. That's not allowed. So, since there were no third parties, it was very obvious, obviously, to the S.E.C. and the rest of us that all of these were false reviews. Which is kind of funny because they didn't have to do that. They could have reviewed it as an O founder and still bullshit their way through the review, making it sound greater than it was, which is what other MLM companies do. All the MLM companies do this. In fact, when I was working at McDonald's used to do this, okay? Effective June 22nd, 2022, OnPassive ceased accepting any more founder registrations, right? If you remember, they said, okay, now the founder registrations are cut off, but they were still kind of signing up people behind the scenes a little bit, but they were giving them the extra accounts at that time. Remember, there was a bunch of people with the duplicate accounts, and they were trying to get rid of them because Ash was telling them that he couldn't refund them because he told them all to fraud the KYC and put it in other people's names. So then, since they did that, they were unable to prove it was their account. You see what he did? You see what he did there to everyone? Yeah, he did that. That's what he did. So then people were coming with their like alt accounts, if you will, in a fake name like he told them to, going, this is my account. And he's going, well, I'm going to need to see your ID with the name on the account to prove it's your account. It's like, Ash, you literally told them to open up accounts in fake names. Like, you really did. Like, you told them to go get a neighbor to come and fake the KYC. I literally remember this stream where you spent at least 45 minutes giving very clear instructions on how to fraud the Know Your Customer system when you had it. And I remember us all sitting there in awe, like, oh, this guy's literally describing how to fraud right now. Like, giving fraud instructions. And it was ridiculous. So I think part of the reason why they stopped the founding, like, new registrations or whatever, was because they wanted to, like, get rid of some of these extra accounts, because it looks a lot better when you don't have a whole bunch of these extra accounts just kind of sitting, It's kind of like, well, what happened? And also, get rid of them all, then you can kind of pretend like he never told anyone to open 10 or anything, So then they say, as of March of 2023, OnPassive had received over $108 million from over 800,000 investors located in the United States and abroad. And this is why, even if you're in Canada, you're in South Africa, you're in Asia, you're in Australia, no matter where you're from, because in this writing, it keeps talking about United States and abroad, there is a possibility that you could still be included in this, even if you're abroad. I'm not a lawyer, never claimed to be. I just have a 2-year social service worker program course from a college. All right. That's all I got. But the wording in this does make it seem like it's open to the United States and abroad, because they do keep mentioning abroad. And most of the people, I think, in this are abroad. Yeah, there's a lot of people in the US, but I think most of it is abroad. So then they say that they purchased over 1.12 million founders' positions. So Ash, again, does his Ash math. Because if you have 800,000 investors, but then you have 1.12 million positions, obviously you've told people to open up more than one position. Now, haven't you? Now, I don't math. That's why I went into social work instead, because I don't math. I don't math, right? I don't math. But that doesn't add up to me, you know? Darn, I could have gotten a founder position. It shows. I was very upset about this, I'm sure. Well, they kept signing founder positions via leaders till November 3rd. Yes, they did. Because that was all of those extra ones. Like I said, you just couldn't allegedly sell a new one. But you're absolutely right. Even though they shut down the new ones, people were still magically joining this company and getting positions. And people were like, how is that happening? And it was like, well, remember all those extra accounts? And they apparently had a whole bunch in their backlog that were not paid. Because, of course, it's one thing to go and open up an account. It's another thing when you then have to pay $250 with that account to use a product. So what would happen is people would open several founder accounts, but then they'd only be able to afford one or two. So if they got 5, they might only afford 1 or 2. You know, have one for themselves, one for a spouse, let's say, right? And then they'd have 3 left over. So then they were selling those. And it got iffy, because allegedly there were some people that were selling them for over the $97. So then we had people like scamming within the scam. It was a fun time. Great, great fun. I like your icon pic. Thank you. I am Satan's daughter, yes. The hating bimbo. All the pink hand. You know what's hilarious is that on YouTube it shows up, but then look how it shows up on StreamYard. So I don't see the hands. I literally see hand pink waving, hand pink waving, hand pink waving. 500 times. I like to think that they get that too when they're on StreamYard. So like their whole comment section is just hand pink waving. Just the whole thing. So again, there were 112 million founder positions, only 800,000 investors. Each position was $97. Whoa, you jumped on me a little too much there. A little too much. What was that? Having chiefly focused on recruiting investors rather than the development of the purported AI applications, MUFAREH and OnPassive continuously delayed any launch of the purported AI applications, while claiming that they were being developed or were further along in development than was actually the case. There was a couple times where he claimed that they were all done. They were just sitting behind the scenes. I remember when he said O-Connect was going to be done last December 5th. One of the things he said was that he had 8 other products that were completely done. He was just hoarding them. Right? He was legit just hoarding them. Just not releasing these products out to be bought or even to be used by the O founders. And I was making jokes like, why are you hoarding all the products, Ash? If you have them done, like, release them. Let's see it. And that number keeps jumping. Because then he'll say, oh no, they're not all done. They're all being worked on, though. And then the next one, he'll say, oh yeah, I got 5 of them all done, ready to go. Or then there'll be 20 of them. Or they'll all be all 50 again. Remember, there's supposed to be 50. 50 of these, you know? So then they say, as of June 30th, 2023, OnPassive had not yet launched any product for a fee or paid any commission to investors. Well, as of right now, which is November 18th of 2023, they did launch a product for a fee, but they have not paid commission to investors. And the product that they launched for a fee sucks, and hardly anyone could use it in the time that they paid for. Then he says, rather than commit investor proceeds principally to develop and commercialize the purported software applications, MUFAREH has used investor funds to further the pyramid scheme and for his and his spouse's personal use. Specifically, MUFAREH transferred investors' funds to his wife, the relief defendant, Asmahan MUFAREH, including transfers into bank accounts or accounts held jointly by the MUFAREHs or held in her name only, trying to hide them. He's trying to hide the funds, or over which she exercised authority. So maybe it was a joint account, but she was the lead one on the account. In addition, the MUFAREHs converted a considerable portion of investor funds into crypto assets under their exclusive personal control. The MUFAREHs then used funds from these accounts for personal expenses, including online retail purchases, upscale dining, TV subscriptions. They used it for Netflix and Disney, groceries, salon and spa visits, which Ash completely denies. He's like, we never went to the salon and spa with anyone's money. Salon and spa visits is here. Ash, they have access to your bank account. So, I don't know what, anyway. And the purchase of stocks. None of them being for OnPassive. Asmahan MUFAREH does not have a legitimate claim to the funds transferred from OnPassive or ASHRAF MUFAREH because he was too dumb to give his wife a position in the company before doing this, so that then there would have been at least a reason for her to get funds for any reason, Because usually when scammers do this, right, they'll make their wife like the CFO. You know what I'm saying? So then when they transfer the money like this to pull off the scam, at least then it kind of looks like she had a reason why the company would pay her. Because she's working for them. So it makes sense she'd get some money. Here, Ash didn't even care to do that. He was like, nah, we're just going to transfer it to her just because she's my wife. It's all good. Ash doesn't take his wife to Olive Garden. He's a real man. Takes her to Red Lobster. Ash got his mani-pedi with his wife and Susie. He's the worst of them all about time him and Faceag went to bingo hall. On his latest live, Rob said that they would no longer be saying what that day's programs would be any longer. There goes 50%. Problems gone right. Damn. What are they gonna do? That is literally 50% of it. It took them a very long time to realize that it doesn't look the greatest when they're like, okay, so now that you're done listening to me for 2 hours, here's the other 10 hours of the day that you have to put into listening to all these other people. You know what I mean? So it's just like, man. So I just think it's hilarious, though, that it definitely lists salon and spa, and he does not want to admit this at all. And I think it's even more funny that he wasn't smart enough to give her some kind of position in this thing, so that when she had these funds transferred, like I said, there was at least some kind of reason for it. So basically, there is no reason for her to ever have a money transfer from OnPassive, yet she has several. And they're like, well, she didn't even work for you, so that was easy to catch. Good job. Now, this is the summary of the violations, which is really fun. By their conduct as alleged in this amended complaint, defendants each violated the registration provisions of Section 5A and 5C of the Securities Act of 1933 and the anti-fraud provisions of Section 17A of the Security Act and Section 10B of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Moreover, by his conduct, as alleged in this amended complaint, defendant MUFAREH had the power to control the general affairs of OnPassive at the time OnPassive violated the security laws as alleged herein. And MUFAREH directly or indirectly possessed the power to direct or cause the direction, I know, there's a lot of directs here, of the management and policies of OnPassive. And therefore, MUFAREH is liable jointly and severally with and to the same extent as OnPassive for its violations of the Securities Exchange Act and everything else that they violated, basically. So basically what this means in layman terms is Ash was the only one who manages OnPassive. He's the creator, he's the owner, he's the operator, and he is just as responsible as like the company would be. If the company was a person, you know what I'm saying? Like, he is the one. He controlled all the accounts, and allegedly no one else really had anything to do with it. You know? That show on OConnect is like watching a variety show from an underwater lunatic asylum. It is. It's great fun, though. Is Marina here? She might be. She might be. It's funny because I had somebody that was all like, they were trying to like start problems with me or something because they were in OnPassive or whatever, supporting it somehow. And I remember them being like, I've seen Marina comment to you. What would Marina say if I sent her the videos that you made about her when she was in OnPassive? And I was like, well, actually, Marina wrote to me and let me know that it was those videos that made her laugh, along with the videos that the recovering Hunbot did about her, and that's what got her to leave. I think she would tell you that I'm funny and that she enjoyed them. So Marina is here quite often. And as I've stated numerous times on my channel, if you are a part of something like this, a cult, a scam, a bad community, blah, 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 okay, and I cover you, and then you change. I'm not like these other people out here who just say this. Like, I genuinely mean. And then you change You'll leave the cult, you'll leave the scam, you'll leave whatever. I will accept you with open, welcome arms over here. You are more than welcome to come over, to hang out, to write me about it, to vent to me about it if you need to, and you'll be more than welcome in my chat. I might even make you a consultant of it. You know, I'm not going to turn you away. I don't cover people just to poke at them and cover them. I really do want people to change. I'm working on my last ditch attempt effort at pleading with Chris to get out of this thing in a video that I'm hoping to have up for Monday. And if Chris left this and ever showed up in my chat or Alonda's chat, because Alonda's the same way, she'll be like, hey, let's meet up for a coffee sometime and hang out. Let's have a chat about it. Like, it's important. It's important to do that, okay? I'm not going to tell people to leave a cult, leave a scam, and then turn them away. They need a place to go after that. And that's why I am so, like, protective of my community. People don't seem to understand. But, like, if you've left a group and been fair gamed and been attacked for it, the last thing you need is to be in a vulnerable place, you know? Marty just wants to help poor people at the grocery store. And Chris just wants to help the homeless dudes under the bridge. As is a compulsive liar like your government, USA, and ours, the UK. I'm actually in Canada. So ours too, though. I just thought I'd throw that in there. I'm in Canada, and ours also sucks. So the US, the UK, and Canada. You know, ours is like a mixture of both of those put together, and then you have Canada's. If Chris leaves, I would meet him wherever in Metro Detroit for coffee and a talk. Yeah. Like, Chris would be a great dude if he left. I hear he was a great dude before he was in it. Trump has never lied no once. I don't know if you're being sarcastic with that. Because to me, I think Trump got big because he ran multi-level marketing companies. So to me, he's a scammer. He's not much better than Ash. That's just me, though. But so they're saying basically that Ash is the one who's liable for anything that happens in OnPassive, the company, anything the company does, he's liable. If one of his techs or one of the team members speaks out wrongly about something, the liability does actually fall back on him. Unless defendants are restrained and enjoined, they are reasonably likely to continue to engage in the acts, practices, transactions, and courses of business set forth in this amended complaint or in acts, practices, transactions, and courses of business of similar types and objects. Mm-hmm. And even after something happens with this thing, they still might not stop. I mean, Mother God passed away. Charles Manson went to jail. And those cults still went on. A lot of people don't realize, but the Manson family still went on for quite a while after Manson was in jail. There's people that are in all kinds of cults where the leader has passed away. It's a big thing in cults where the leader passed away, just find a new leader. So I'm just scared of what happens with this thing to those families that were depending on it. That often comes up. Is people say what happens when this thing gets shut down and then people start self-harming over it. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's why we hate these things so much. So now we're going to get into who is the defendants? What are they all about? So MUFAREH is 50 years old. He's a resident of Orlando, Florida. That's not a dox. Someone told me that I dox people all the time because I read things like this on my channel. Stop being stupid. He is the co-founder and co-owner with his spouse, MUFAREH, who's we've only seen her on paper, of OnPassive, and throughout the relevant period has been its chief executive officer, which is the CEO. Throughout the relevant period, which remember is from its conception, basically, which they say is July 2018 until June of 2022, that's the relevant period, he has wholly controlled all operations of OnPassive and had ultimate authority over its activities, including the violative conduct at issue here. So whenever he violated something, he's the authority over all that too. And he would tell people to do these things, to open up all these multiple accounts and etc. He told them to. OnPassive, aka Go Founders, which is what it was all called before it was called OnPassive, and O Founders, was established as a Florida LLC on November 19th, 2018. Now, there's a difference with being established as an LLC and registering with the Securities and Exchange Commission. There's a difference. Before being converted to a Delaware LLC on September 23rd of 2021. Why would you go to Delaware, you ask? Well, Delaware, they have no laws about businesses in comparison to everywhere else. Delaware is really big for like these online businesses where you don't actually need an office, but you just need to register it. They have some really lax laws when it comes to registering an LLC and running an LLC there. It is the Dubai of the USA. So a lot of people will say, oh, Dubai, yeah, that's a scam capital. Well, Delaware is the scam state, if you will. All right, of the US, it's their Dubai. So yeah, they were registered near end of September there, and it has maintained an office in Orlando, Florida since 2018. This is one of those P.O. Box offices. At no time did the company have a category of securities registered with the S.E.C. Now, this is what I mean. When I said that they were not registered with the S.E.C., I did not mean that they were not registered as an LLC. I feel like people might have misinterpreted me. I said that they have, at no time did the company have a category of securities registered with the S.E.C. The names OnPassive, Go Founders, and O Founders have been used interchangeably to describe the company that has purportedly been developing AI applications and also to describe the company's MLM program. All acts and omissions of OnPassive, as alleged herein, were done at MUFAREH's direction. And they were. He did. He told them what to do. And they go into the relief defendant. His wife is age 39, a resident of Orlando, Florida. She's the spouse and co-founder, co-owner, and has received securities fraud proceeds to which she has no legitimate claim. The terms. So, of course, founders describes investors who registered on OnPassive's non-public website, the back office as they call it, prior to product launch or pre-launch for the opportunity to be placed in a pyramid structure prior to later investors. The defendants claimed that founders would be ultimately eligible to receive as a commission a portion of monthly subscription fees paid by those placed after them in the pyramid structure. OnPassive has reportedly placed each founder in the pyramid pre-launch in the order in which they registered. Defendants distinguished between founders that paid the $97 pre-launch versus those that had not yet paid. The defendants referred to founders who had not yet paid as holding free positions, right? The defendants represented that they could remove any founder holding a free position at any time prior to product launch and indicated that they would eliminate all such free positions prior to product launch so that only paying founders would be eligible to maintain their positions in the pyramid and elect to be a reseller. The defendant ceased accepting founder registrations on June 22nd, 2022, but they were still selling those free positions and whatnot until later on that year. Reseller, of course, right? It says the defendants required that in order to receive commissions, an investor, whether they be a founder who registers pre-launch or someone who invests post-launch, also had to sign up on OnPassive's back office to be a reseller. An ebook posted to OnPassive's back office from December 2021 into August 2022 stated that every founder would elect to become a reseller. According to defendants, once having made the election to be a reseller, the electing person was not required to do anything further. Rather, OnPassive stated that it would create a website for each reseller and that upon product launch, OnPassive would then engage in a marketing campaign to attract other potential investors or users of the purported product through the reseller's website using artificial intelligence. OnPassive said it would treat each purported product purchase made through a reseller's website as a resale. A portion of the monthly subscription fees paid by customers routed to each reseller's website would then be paid as a commission to the reseller, except Ash even stated at one point it would be 100% of the proceeds, so the commission was going to be for 100%, which then would have tanked this company within like a couple months. That would have been fun to see, though. A pyramid scheme with an office in Egypt, as judges have a sense of humor. I like that. So do you, Stricardo. Did you know that they're opening 3 more new offices? Now? Yep, 3 more new offices. You know? Same reason Jeffree Star called his dog Drama. So, I'm trying to remember when exactly it was. I believe it was near the end of last year and at the beginning of this year that he was going on about the 100% commissions. And I was like, that's not going to work. But I mean, go for it, Ash. Do it. Because if the company doesn't make any money, it should fail real soon, right? So the Leadership Council, right, is Marty DeGarmo, Michael Aim, right, Chris Johnson, Redfern, Mike Ellis was one of the leadership councils, Julie, Susie. They're a group of highly productive and enthusiastic founders selected by MUFAREH to promote OnPassive. He'll pop in and pay them in super chats. Excuse me. The back office, of course, is the OES. It's a non-public website accessible by the over 800,000 investors who had registered as founders or who were otherwise granted access by ASH. It's not a product for commercial sale, but rather a tool used by the defendants to, among other things, facilitate and track recruitment efforts. An ebook is the digital composition of which there were successive iterations reviewed and edited by MUFAREH and then posted to OnPassive's back office with MUFAREH's authorization. And it contained information concerning its fraudulent scheme. Launch. The defendants used the term launch through at least June 22nd of 2022 to refer to the purported commercial rollout of the product with all applications, initially approximately 30, increasing to over 50, comprising the ecosystem to be made commercially available simultaneously, coincident with the commencement of commission payments. Okay. Now, the jurisdiction and venue is basically they're talking about how, like, because certain of the Transaction Act's practices and courses of business constituting violations of the federal security laws occurred within the District of Orlando, Florida. Okay? Defendants offered and sold securities at issue in this district, and individuals who reside in the district are among those who invested by paying $97 to defendants to be the founders, right? Furthermore, both Ash and his wife reside in that district, and OnPassive's main head office is also in that district. Therefore, due to that, they have to follow along the rules, okay, under the Securities Act and the Securities and Exchange Act. And I guess every state would have different rules for it, right? Every jurisdiction has to be handled by that jurisdiction. Okay, so they're saying, yeah, we are the S.E.C. for this jurisdiction. So since he broke the law in this jurisdiction, we're the ones that get to get him in trouble in this jurisdiction. It's a lot like in criminal court. If you ever watch crime shows and the FBI shows up and they're like, this is our jurisdiction now. It's the same thing in like these courts, okay? In the civil court. So since they're in Orlando, Florida, since the company is technically was based out of Orlando, Florida, due to Ash and his wife especially residing there, and especially due to the main office being there, I believe that the jurisdiction is wherever the head office is and where they reside. So, like, it works out that it's all Orlando, Florida in this case. And then also a lot of the victims are also in Orlando, Florida. So because of all that, they say, we're taking over it over here. Ash and his wife have a safe word, legal. And Susie and Ash's safe word is his wife's name. So, they're kind of like, this is our area. And technically, they broke the laws in our specific area. This is my favorite part of the whole document. It really, really is. It's my most favorite. I feel like we need a little bit of a break. And then when we come back, we're going to do the facts section. Just here is a little ad from OnPassive.
The internet is ripe for the taking. Look at the business solutions that OnPassive has coming under its roof. More state-of-the-art products, powered by artificial intelligence and machine learning than any other company. Each product designed by OnPassive could be a standalone multi-billion-dollar business. That does not seem fair. What OnPassive is doing with technology is crazy brilliant. Each day that arrives is loaded with value that does not stop there. Are you beginning to see just how OnPassive is going to dominate the internet? Each OnPassive product could be a separate company, and yet all OnPassive's products are under one roof. OnPassive will establish success on the internet. No one will fear using the internet because the customers will be using OnPassive's products. That is exhilarating. The sweet smell of success for the users. Mr. MUFAREH and his technical staff are waiting at just the right time to unleash this giant call OnPassive. Mr. MUFAREH is monitoring how and when to release not all OnPassive products, but one at a time. He is making sure that each product is tested by OnPassive's gifted technology staff to make sure that every product performs flawlessly. That is what is called genius. Each product released will be better with great value and power packed with user-friendly features. As an example, O-Trim is a product that is given away to new customers who register with OnPassive. The email platform is another gift that OnPassive has for all new users who register with OnPassive. There's one more gift, and that is a social media platform called Onet. Those gifts are billion-dollar niches being given away. OnPassive's effect on businesses will be felt online as well as offline. We will be remiss if we don't tell you that before the end of this month, OConnect, which is the most advanced video conferencing platform ever, will launch and go viral. A complete takeover. How will OnPassive do this? Data centers built by OnPassive to store sensitive data without having to outsource that data. The new data center will be encryption on steroids. Presently, OnPassive has a small data center, but it has outgrown that data center because of the exponential growth that OnPassive is having. The present data center can hold 1 billion users, which is impressive, but not enough for OnPassive's growth. What is Mr. MUFAREH and his technology doing about this? Glad you ask. OnPassive will have a new data center 10 times bigger than what it has now. That mega data center will be ready in early 2024. A company with complete control of its data controls its own destiny. In addition to that, OnPassive will have its own pay processors and banking systems very soon. Mr. MUFAREH has dedicated his life to making sure that OnPassive is here to stay. When OnPassive gets these things done, it never has to outsource anything. What else is left? Control of the internet.
That one makes me laugh because they're like, what else is left? Control of the internet. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure with these products, you're going to control the internet. Can't wait to see it. So the number one fact on this document is, oh, bullshit. That's not it. That's not what the fact is. But all of this is all, oh, bullshit. Why can't I talk right now? Sure, Ash is going to spend $300 million on a massive data center. And that's the thing, is that they're still talking about these data centers. All right. I also want to point out that at the beginning of this, not the beginning of this, the beginning of me covering this. So I started covering this a while ago with Alonda, right? It's been like a couple years now. Jesus Christ. I don't even believe how long it's been. And when we were first covering this, one of the big things that Ash had promised is that he was going to give people water in places where they had no water. I just want to point out that Mr. Beast and his team have actually given hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people access to clean drinking water in countries that they did not have clean drinking water. He did not have $108 million to do this with. Did it with less than that. Which therefore tells me Ash obviously very much could have taken that money and built all these data centers he's talking about, and even gotten water for people in places where they needed clean drinking water. Instead, you heard what he did with the money. They went to Red Lobster in the spa, bought some crypto, and some groceries and a Disney Plus account and some Netflix, you know? If Ash actually did want to save the world, he could have done a lot with that $108 million. That would have done amazing things for our world, right? And he didn't. That alone, just that part alone in all of this. The fact that we know how much money he made, and then the promises he made with it, and the fact that none of that happened should tell you that Ash's goal is not at all to help the world and those in need, and is very much all about making money to line his own pockets. That's all you should need to know, is that the guy made $108 million off this and didn't get one place clean drinking water, and hasn't built one data, because those were his two big promises, was we're going to bring the internet to people that don't have access to it, and we're going to get clean drinking water. And then the next big promise after that was that they were going to end homelessness. And that was being led by Chris Johnson with the Oblast. All right? That, as I've always stated, that was always an impossible feat. Nobody will ever be able to completely end homelessness. Unfortunately, it's like the war on drugs. It will just be fought forever. But they could have saved a lot of homeless people with $108 million. They could have built some houses with that. That's for sure. Made it so that some people could have lived for the rest of their life and at least had a roof over their head, especially in a lot of the places that they're in, where houses aren't $500,000. Right? I mean, imagine. So that alone just shows what his intention is here. His intention is, and always has been, to use emotional and faith manipulation to line his pockets. Ash's target audience are the founders, not anyone who would use OnPassive. Exactly. And we've been saying that since the beginning, because it's like, all the people that are in this, none of them need this. He's not getting the CEO of businesses to sign up for this thing, right? He's getting your everyday average Joe. Right, Joe? And like, there's no I don't even need this. A lot of people would consider having a YouTube channel or whatever to be a business. Even if you had 1 million subscribers on here, you don't need this. Right? So it's like who is he trying to get to buy this? Well, not the CEO of companies, and this is supposed to help you run your company easy. No, he wanted to be like all of the other MLM programs that claim that they have products to help you run your MLM easier. And then he realized there was an entire anti-MLM community out here. And then he went, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have said I was an MLM. Which, granted, Ash, we might not have heard about you if, you hadn't called yourself one. Spencer would have still been on your ass, though. So, the number one fact is my favorite. And here it says as a fact that OnPassive is a pyramid scheme. And the thing is that technically right now, like, they are. They don't have a compensation plan or a business plan, right? So they're all just still paying to secure a position on a pyramid for the future to hopefully make money with products that, although, like I said, this product's been paid for one time by a lot of people. A whole bunch of people paid $250 for this thing. Okay, and they are not supposed to ever have to worry about paying again, because by the time that the next payment plan was to come, right? Because you get it for 3 months. So you're paying every 3 months for the program. They were supposed to already make that back in commission. So then the commission's supposed to pay for it the second time. This is how it's always been sold. Is sure, you might have to put the first payment, but then after that, people are going to be your downlines galore, right? And it'll pay for itself. That's what they all say, right? With their product, and pay for themselves. You won't have to pay a cent after the first time. But we're nearing the end of that. For, I believe, the first group of people, it's like coming up here at the end of November. And then they're going to be made to pay again. So a lot of us are wondering now what's going to happen. Because this thing's not done. And they haven't sold it during this time and made any commission. So is that going to be extended for them now? You know, like, how is this going? Because it appears that people that have free trials can get their free trials extended, possibly. So then that becomes very confusing for the people that paid. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything is just fucked up with this O-Connect thing. Nothing's making sense, and nothing is working as it's supposed to be. So technically, they still don't really have it launched. They're trying really hard to make it seem like they have a product and a business thing starting. But it's still all kind of up in the air, and nothing's in writing yet. And this is a problem, because I don't see how they could be distributors in a company and not know the compensation plan and not have a proper business contract. You know what I'm saying? So then you do have to kind of wonder about the legitimacy of everything here and like how that would all work. Because although technically, yeah, they sign this little agreement or whatever when they become founders, but is that even legal? Is it legally binding? Especially if they weren't registered under this S.E.C, like they don't have any registered securities or anything, right? So does that then null and void any of these alleged contracts that have been signed here? I have a lot of questions about that. I'm not sure if any of them have been answered anywhere yet. But it does make you wonder about the legitimacy of all of this. You know what I mean? My only criticism of the S.E.C allegation is that no mention is made of the humanity. Yeah. Then that's because to them everything has to be like legal, and they don't really care about that. Like, that doesn't really fall under their issue, if that makes sense. The humanity of it all, like that, technically, I guess you could complain. You would need to almost just go to like a Better Business Bureau for that factor. They can only work with the money and the like legalities, I believe. Anything beyond that, like the public being harmed by this, for example, or any of that, that would, I don't know if the S.E.C would be like the ones that would take care of that. That's like the FTC that we need. So they say, as a fact, OnPassive is a pyramid scheme. OnPassive offers investors, in return for their payment of money, the right to promote and sell OnPassive's purported product and to receive income not primarily for the sale of the product to ultimate users, but rather in return for recruiting other participant recruiters, i.e. the investors, i.e. the founders, you know. These investors, in turn, are likewise incentivized to recruit still other investors in an unending and unsustainable chain of recruitment. OnPassive's incentivized recruitment structure has no method or procedures in place, right, to ensure that a substantial portion of sales are to bona fide retail users of the product. Like, none. No method or like nothing. There's no way. They don't care. Nothing's really about the product. It's all about getting more and more people into this thing. And then he's like, the products will all come, you know? To earn commissions, an OnPassive investor must purchase product, right? and commence paying. Now here it says monthly subscription fees. I don't believe as of right now there are actual monthly subscription fees. It's like every few months. However, I believe in this document it is saying monthly subscription fees because they are still talking about possibly doing monthly subscription fees for a lot of the other products. So yes, O Connect is every 3 months. There's the fee. But in future, is it O Tracker? Or the other one? I believe O Tracker is supposed to have a fee eventually monthly. You know? Well, maybe you were being sarcastic, but I just thought I would also explain that. Because what if somebody does want to complain? Or they want to know the legalities? I'm like, yeah, you could technically argue that. It's just, that would be more the FTC than the S.E.C. If I rented O Connect and convinced my neighbors to also rent it, do I get paid just once or every time they re-rent it? Theoretically, you are supposed to get paid every time that they re-rent it. Like, technically, based on how... Now, Ash never said this. This is just me. I'm basing that off of how the compensation plans of the past, which I've been covering multi-level marketing companies out here for 4 years. So I've gone through a lot of them, hundreds of them. And I'm basing it on how it's supposed to work based on those. It would technically be any time they bought anything here. So not only the Oat Connect, but then if Oat Tracker started to have a monthly fee and they bought that, you would also get a bit of that. So you would get a portion of everything they bought if they were under you. And this is why it was so funny when he said 100% commission. Because I was like, that's impossible. Then Ash is making no money. We all know Ash is not going to let it be that he makes no money in this thing. That would have lasted like 1 month and he would have been like, to hell with this, So it would be every single time that your neighbor signs up for it, you would get a bit. Every time he buys any product, you would get a bit. Now, the problem is that Ash has not, in writing in any way, shape, or form, made a contract here. Usually when you join an MLM, you sign several contracts, actually. It's ridiculous. You go in, you sign a contract, saying that you'll follow their procedures and their rules and all this, right? A lot of them have a compliance area to make sure you follow the rules. I don't believe Ash, I guess, is just his own compliance area. Maybe that's why he gets Red and Marty to yell at everyone. Maybe they're the compliance. I don't know. And then you also sign almost like an employee contract in a way. It's like an independent contractor. You sign a business contract, if you will, with them. That's says, yes, I am going to work with you and be a part of this. And then on top of that, you usually also have to agree to a payment plan / compensation plan. Okay? So far, when you join on passive, you agree that you're going to follow their rules to use their stuff, and then you sign an NDA. And that's kind of it. In their their procedures and rules and whatnot that you sign off on, it talks a little bit about having to comply with their shit. But there is no real business contract here that you're signing, okay? Because there's no, it's not in writing yet or in stone yet how this business is even running. No one knows how people are being put under them as downlines. No one knows, and then no one knows what the compensation is. Until people know this, right? They can't even agree to it. So this is why the S.E.C. can also get them in trouble, if you will. Because of what I just said, They really are only paying for a position and then to hang out in that position right now. And saying, yes, in future, I'll get the benefits of being here. But then that's it. So technically, it is just him selling a position in a pyramid scheme right now. The only thing you fully agree to is your initial sign-on fee and your spot in the pyramid. And then, like I said, you got to sign an NDA and agree that if Ash has policies and procedures in place, you won't break them, you know? That's it. So, I mean, there is no sales right now. And technically, in order for them to sign, like fully to be a part of this as a distributor, it would have to outline all of the things that they would have to do as a distributor. And then it would also have to outline their commission, right? You have to agree to this commission plan. And I know here when you work in sales, even in retail, if you're getting a commission in any way, it's the same thing. You have a special like commission plan, business plan thing that you have to go over. That doesn't exist here. Signing up to OnPassive is almost similar to agreeing to the terms of the site. Okay, and then just basically saying, and I also have this position that I paid money for. So hopefully in future I make something with it. That's it. So I think that's why they're kind of in trouble for being a pyramid scheme, right? That's what makes them the pyramid scheme. So then it goes on to say, to earn commissions, an passive investor must purchase product and commence paying those monthly fees, which again, monthly, bi-monthly, even if it's twice yearly, whatever fees, with those paying the $97 founder's fee, assured a higher place in the pyramid structure, right? Relative to or compared to those who do not pay, so as to maximize their passive income streams. According to defendants, other than making payments and checking a box, electing to be a reseller, no further action by an investor is required to receive a passive income stream. Now you know why I said you are basically just agreeing to the terms of the service. And that you'll like one day you'll be able to make money. You can't agree to the compensation plan yet. It's not written. So like this again kind of proves the pyramid scheme part. The purported income opportunity has driven recruitment rather than the utility of the product, right? So it's all about joining to secure that place in the pyramid. There are no products. There's no compensation plan. No one's making money off of their having downlines or any of that yet. So again, the only thing, is it? No, it's not normal. This is not normal at all. I have never, ever seen a company launch at all in any way, shape, or form without a business plan and at least like some of the products complete. No MLM either. Any kind of company. This is the first one I've ever seen where there was literally no plan, no products, and just a lot of planning and webinars. That's what people basically paid for. It was kind of crazy. It's not at all normal to have people sign on to something like this, especially something with an MLM structure, without, like I said, a business plan and their compensation plan already outlined for them. In some places, it could even be considered illegal to like have these people agree to be resellers of something without realizing what all that entails, which would then include knowing your compensation plan It could be considered being forced to make an uneducated decision, right? You're unable to be fully informed of what this reseller position entails. You don't really know what you're supposed to do for it. You don't even know all the products that you're supposed to be selling as the reseller, and you have no clue how much they are or what you're going to make. And because of that, I've often, like, since the beginning of me covering this, I've said just that alone should be enough for you to know not to sign up for this thing. Never ever sign up for something that you cannot 100% fully understand. You have to be able to, as a consumer and a apparent distributor, future distributor, you have to know exactly what you're signing up for and what you're getting yourself into. If that cannot be explained to you, like the case is here, because he literally hasn't made a compensation plan yet for you as a distributor, huge red flag. That means don't join it. It's a scam. No one should ever tell you to pay for a position and then promise you that you'll make money without being able to give you a proper, like, percentage of the commission you'll be making. That's like crazy illegal here. In Canada, it goes against a lot of the labor laws here in Ontario, where I'm from, even. They would argue that, that you were not given the opportunity to make an informed, educated decision because information was withheld from you that should have been given to you up front before you signed on, kind of thing. Usually that's like a huge problem, right? So that's what I would say. I would say if you ever are signing up for anything and they tell you that you're going to make money, but they can't tell you your commission plan, I just probably wouldn't believe that you're going to make a cent there. Everyone on the Forbes 400 will be an unpassive founder. Hello, Insolent Violet. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. Yep. So I wouldn't trust it at all. And it again proves that the income opportunity is all about recruitment rather than selling of the product, since, again, there's only really one for sale. We just found out what it was going to cost. Or even use of the product, since it doesn't work. This is evident from, among other things, defendants' successful solicitation of over 800,000 investors worldwide to purchase 1.12 million founders' positions over the course of 4 years, during which time defendants never commercially launched a single product, not one, and devoted their communications chiefly to describing the income opportunity. Of these over 800,000 investors, more than 93,000, nearly 12%, purchased multiple founders' positions. Given that each investor could purchase all the product the investor desired through one position, and now that's the part that I keep going to, right? Like, I keep bringing up how technically if you have all these multiple positions, you would then have to buy the product on multiple, but you don't need to, because you buy it once and it should work on all of your stuff. Like, you should be able to use it on your laptop, desktop, phone, tablet. You shouldn't have to buy it like a different version per or anything like that. Okay, that's ridiculous. Nothing else works like that. Steve Jobs did not do it like that, Ash. So just that alone proves, all right, if you had to have multiple accounts to use the product, that would be one thing. And I would have to ask why they made the product like that. That sucks. But at least then it would be more about the use of the product, And they're saying, obviously, since you didn't need to do that to use this thing, it wasn't about its use. Now, was it? Hmm? Hmm? No. No. So the purchase by over 93,000 investors of multiple founder position confirms that receipt of passive income is a driver of investor interest. Meanwhile, details on the products under development remain scant. Most passive investors are bound to lose money. Defendants claimed in their ebook that investors could earn unlimited residual income for life. And other marketing materials even indicated that investors could receive over $2 million per month for life. Yep, there was a lot of them like that. However, such claims depended on the unrealistic assumptions of infinite numbers of participants in the unpassive pyramid scheme. And Ash often said that all 8 billion people in the world would sign up for it. For example, to fully populate 10 more levels of the pyramid beyond the 10 levels depicted in paragraph 60 below would require 5.2 billion positions, assuming the number of positions in each successive tier increased by a factor of 3. It is not possible to have an infinite team of participants from whom an investor could earn unlimited residual income for life, as claimed in the ebook referenced in paragraph 62 below. B. The unpassive pyramid scheme relies on rewards unrelated to the sale of a product to ultimate users. In July of 2018, MUFAREH and OnPassive, following its formation in November of 2018, began soliciting investors to invest in OnPassive's unlawful pyramid scheme by claiming that the founder would share in profits that would purportedly come from monthly subscription fees paid by users to use a suite of online computer applications using AI. OnPassive has yet to fully develop and make commercially available a suite of online computer applications. Just have a suite with like 3 things back there. Defendants solicited investors using email and live webinars, usually produced from MUFAREH's Orlando home or a motel, which were recorded and then posted to OnPassive's back office for later viewing. OnPassive's back office contained informational ebooks which MUFAREH reviewed, edited, and authorized to have posted. Anyone registering as a founder or granted access by MUFAREH could access OnPassive's back office. Founders who actively promoted OnPassive, particularly those comprising OnPassive's so-called leadership council, like Marty, Chris, and Red, also disseminated promotional materials on the public internet, like Bill Musk, as part of their recruitment efforts, which MUFAREH and OnPassive incentivized them to do by representing that each founder recruited by an existing founder would be placed under the existing founder in the pyramid. OnPassive's promotional materials falsely conveyed that monies raised would be used for product development. The purported product would be a suite of computer applications using AI to automate marketing functions for online businesses. In February of 2020, MUFAREH announced in a webinar posted to OnPassive back office that the target audience was being expanded to include anyone interested in using AI applications. Up until then, it was for the people that ran businesses. And then it went back and forth. Between August 2019 and at least December 2021, the number of computer applications the defendants claimed they would launch increased from approximately 30 to 50. And it's been at 50 for a while, except now Ash is hinting that it might be more than 50. So I don't know why that is. I don't know why. that is at all. So I'm kind of trying to think. Hmm. I'm trying to think. I remember him saying, like, what was it? Would have been like a couple months ago now, I believe. He hinted to, like, what was it, 70, 75? Like, I know that he has hinted a lot recently that there was going to actually be more than 50. I don't know if they're including that here. I think that they're only including up until the 2022. So, hello, Nancy. Good to see you. You know, I'm just trying to think because I know I heard him say it like very, very recently, but I can't remember when exactly it was. Oh, I love it when the numbers get ludicrous. That's often right. And that's what I mean. Like, for some reason, I got a flashback in my brain when I read that. And I was like, man, I swear to God that just recently, very, very recently, in the last week or so, even on a webinar, he made some stupid statement about how there was going to be like, how he had like 80 products done or something. And I was like, oh my God, Ash, like, you don't even have the 50 done. I was a lot more than 50. So I think it's fair to say that possibly the number is going to be raised in future. So listen for that. Because I swear he's hinted at it a few times now. And before you know it, he's going to be saying, oh, way more than 50, blah, 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 blah. We'll all make so much money that all 8 billion people in the whole world will sign up for multiple accounts. And that's what I mean. Because here's the thing, right? Is that even if you did sign up everybody, then it would stop. Because then everybody would be signed up. Almost the same amount of people die that are born in a day. So even if you're signing up people as they're literally being born, right? And then people are passing, like, there is no way to have an infinite number, like they said. So I never understand why all these companies talk like that. Like, they're all like, infinite number of signups to come. And I'm like, that's literally impossible. Because you would sign up the whole world. And then even if you did that, then you'd be at another standpoint where it would just be like you plateaued at the highest amount. So I don't get it. He's been adding them pretty regularly. The Sixer was before Verify, which is now a big deal. And it's before Enjoy and Women and a bunch of others. Ash makes up new ones. See, and that's what I mean. Like, he always had that. Because, yes, it did go from 30 to 50. And then for a good 2 years, he was like 50. You know what I mean? But then sporadically over the last several months, as you've pointed out, he's like bringing up these new things never heard of. And like Alonda has a list of the 50 that because he once did list out all 50 he wanted to release. And Alonda has a whole list of all of them, right? Like a whole bunch of them. And I'm like, I swear those ones weren't on the list. Like, I remember him saying, women. I was like, never heard of that. When did that become a thing? When the fuck did that exist? Like, is that new? I believe I even had to ask Alonda. I was like, is that a new one? Am I insane? Like, I don't remember ever hearing about that until just now. So it's like, we're already just adding on from 50 now. Beth, we're all confused here, Beth. It's not just you. Don't worry. It's hard to keep track. When you change it all the time, it's hard. That's what I mean, though. I was trying to remember. I was like, fuck, what one was I listening to where he said that? They need an calculator. They do. They do. I will be going to Florida in March near the Orlando area. I think I'm going to pay Mr. MUFAREH a visit. You couldn't, Mark? I mean, I would. when he's constipated and spending some long waiting time in the toilet is when he makes these up, I'm sure of it. Same. I mean, you gotta think when you're on the John with how trashy his ideas are. It's the only thing it could be. They're shit. So then he says, I'm talking like the SEC as a person. So then they say, or during the relevant period, which again, like I said, that's July 2018 till June 2022, I believe this goes until. Defendants publicly stated that they would employ a software as a service model where, rather than owing the products outright, customers would purchase a product package and then pay a monthly subscription fee to use the products. And then they say in the small print here that the term customer, as used herein, refers generally to any individual who would, under OnPassive's envisioned plan, purchase the purported software product, like without being the reseller, right? A customer might also be a founder, otherwise participant in the pyramid scheme post-launch, but not necessarily so, at least as of June 30th, 2023. OnPassive had yet to sell any products and had no paying customers as of that date. So yeah, it's now we're going, so as of June 30th, 2023, they're saying the company has no products to sell and no paying customers. So not an O founder, possibly a future reseller, but not an O founder, right? If you're a customer. And they say investors could purchase placement in OnPassive's unlawful pyramid scheme either by paying $97 in advance of the product launch or by waiting to purchase a software product on or after product launch. Under either option, defendants indicated that each investor will be placed in the pyramid in the order in which each registered. So now this is where they go into saying what I kind of touched on before of how it would be like, again, in the order in which they registered. So now everything had to be even and spread out, in order, I guess you could say. Defendants assured founders that as they were early investors, the founders would be placed more highly than those registering on or after product launch. Investors would remain their respective positions at or after product launch, provided they made all required payments. Got made so much money, paid. That's interesting, isn't it? And which, again, that also proves that it was more about the payments being made than the money, than the use of the products, right? Because here they're like, yeah, make sure it's all based on the payments you make. Instead of it being based, most companies base it on you reaching your PRV, your personal sales volume, right? So it's just interesting the way that OnPassive words it differently like that. An ebook that MUFAREH reviewed, edited, and authorized for posting to OnPassive back office in April 2019 declared, when you accept an early founder position, you're placed in OnPassive's top leadership. This is the top 1% of the leaders in the company, and the teams under these leaders are built literally hands-free. ... This is done through company-wide marketing campaigns using 4 or 5 of the world's best, largest data exchange companies to run the campaigns. These campaigns are fed using proprietary databases developed and owned by OnPassive. Yep. That consists of leads incredibly targeted to specific industries. Before the public launch, the primary purpose of the existing founders and the company campaigns are to invite other founders. Did you hear that? I'm going to say it again in my normal voice. Before the public launch, the primary purpose of the existing founders and the company campaigns are to invite other founders. How to say you're a pyramid scheme without saying you're a pyramid scheme 101. The founders' positions are ranked according to 1, the date that a position was acquired, and 2, the number of paid founders they have personally sponsored. A visual depiction, often used in promotional materials posted on OnPassive's back office and the public internet during the relevant period, advertised a pyramid incentive structure as follows. Our goal! Founders will enjoy life-changing benefits. Look at our pyramid scheme chart. It has us in green, start strong. Higher in the matrix based on 1, date and time stamp. 2, number of sponsored founders. Defendants generally indicated that the pyramid under each recruit would be limited to 10 rows, with the number of positions in each successive row increasing by a multiple of 3, for a maximum of 88,523 positions all told, although defendants also occasionally indicated that the number of rows could be unlimited. Because nothing's in writing, because there is no compensation plan or business plan here, they just talk out their ass. Defendants further represented that the spillover concept applied, right? Meaning that an investor who actively recruits others into the scheme could fill in vacant pyramid positions anywhere below the active investor in the pyramid, to include positions below investors who are not actively recruiting. According to defendants' promotional materials and communications with founders, again, remember, defendant here is MUFAREH, to maintain one's position in OnPassive's pyramid at the time of purported product launch, not lunch. He owes everyone a lunch after this, though. A founder must have paid a $97 founder's fee, purchased a product package, and paid a monthly subscription fee in order to continue to receive commissions. The monthly subscription fee was initially specified as $25 to $900, depending on the product package the participant purchased. Investors were told in a video posted in the spring of 2019 to the back office that the $97 founder's fee would cover the first year of post-launch monthly subscription fees in their entirety. Those who were not founders would need to purchase product packages after launch to be placed in the pyramid and pay a monthly subscription fee to maintain a position in the pyramid and receive commissions. From inception, defendants claimed that OnPassive would begin paying commissions upon product launch, when it began collecting monthly subscription fees. Defendants permitted investors to register as founders pre-launch while deferring payment to a later date, provided payment was made prior to the product launch. Failure to pay the founder's fee in advance of launch would result in forfeiture of the so-called free position in the OnPassive pyramid. By December of 2021, which I was there by then, I was covering it by then, defendants had modified the pyramid scheme participation requirements in 3 respects. First, the monthly subscription fees would no longer be in the range of $25 to $900, but substantially higher, although unspecified amounts. Second, a founder's $97 initial payment would no longer be deemed to cover the monthly subscription fees due during the first year following product launch. Founders would now have to pay a monthly subscription fee. Finally, in addition to purchasing a product and commencing payment of monthly subscription fees at the time of a purported product launch in order to receive commissions, an investor, whether a founder or an individual joining post-launch, would also now have to elect to be a reseller. What the fuck does that mean, you're wondering? Glad you asked. Electing to be a reseller meant simply checking a box on OnPassive's website. And this is why I say, like, I don't know about the legalities of this. Like, this isn't a business contract or an independent contract. You know what I'm saying? Them just checking a box. Like, there is nothing, no agreement, no real agreement signed here. So I don't know the legalities necessarily behind that, but it sounds like they're not good. Okay? The election could be made at any time at or after product purchase. Although OnPassive's ebook, posted in the back office from December 2021 until August 2022, asserted that every founder would elect to be a reseller. There was no added cost for electing to be a reseller, and electing to be a reseller did not obligate the electing person to do anything. You didn't have to do anything, okay? I mean, you didn't have to, but it was appreciated if you did. Was how they would say it. At no time up through June 22nd, 2022, was a limit placed on the number of founder positions that an investor could purchase. Actually, quite the opposite, right? Since a single founder's position would enable an investor to purchase product, the only reason for purchasing more than one founder's position was to secure multiple passive income streams. Although OnPassive claimed that it ceased accepting founder registrations effective June 22nd, 2022, defendants continued to accept $97 payments from those founders holding free positions as of that date, resulting in the payment of tens of millions of dollars in founders' fees subsequent to June 22nd, 2022. Just like we were talking about. Right? It didn't really quit then, right? They were still sort of selling them. When he's constipated, spending some time waiting on the toilet is when he makes these up, I'm sure of it. He's constipated a lot. He's always full of shit. Ain't that the truth? Right? Defendants promoted their pyramid scheme. We're on C now, by the way. Defendants promoted their pyramid scheme by emphasizing the passive income opportunity through recruitment. All right? Through recruitment, not through the selling of product. That's the problem. Throughout the relevant period, defendants made clear how much an investor would receive in commissions was directly tied to how high in the OnPassive pyramid an investor was placed relative to others, which in turn was a function of how many participants were recruited under them and in succeeding levels of the pyramid. Only a founder could recruit other founders, who would then be placed under and be sources of commissions for the recruiting founder. The defendants represented that on product launch, OnPassive would engage in an intensive marketing program to attract new customers and, using an automated system, direct traffic to websites that they would create for each reseller. A founder or investor who joins post-launch. Individuals directed to a reseller's website who then purchased the product would be deemed a recruit of the reseller. OnPassive tracked founders recruited by other founders and undertook to track recruits post-launch. Accordingly, defendants made recruitment of more founders and or resellers a focal point of their pyramid scheme from inception, which further proves it's a pyramid scheme. If that's the focal point, it's a pyramid scheme. Defendants also urged and incentivized investors to join as early as possible by emphasizing that the earlier interested parties joined, the more highly placed they would be in the pyramid relative to later joining participants, and the more they could earn in passive income from those placed under them, right? Although defendants emphasized that participants could maximize their passive income by recruiting others, defendants also told investors whether founders or those considering joining later, that they can earn passive income without engaging in any recruiting activity, but instead relying entirely on OnPassive to conduct marketing efforts and post-launch to place recruits OnPassive solicited directly under existing participants in the pyramid structure. While defendants initially represented that they would release the suite of applications for business owners looking to create an online presence to market their services or products, they also repeatedly represented that investors did not need to have an already existing business, to the point where every single time that this was covered by Queen and the Recovering Hunbot, Queen would be flipping out the whole time saying, I don't know what the fuck this company's for. Is it a company that's supposed to be for other businesses to help run their business? Or is it a company for individuals and then this is their business? Oh no, they keep going back and forth. We can never figure it out. They seem to change it depending on which one works best in the moment. It was fucking confusing. And we still don't know, by the way. Like, it's still both. Like, it's up in the, I don't know, whichever. Rather, investors could use the purported product post-launch to market the OnPassive program and, implicitly, the passive income-making opportunity to be a reseller, thereby populating the pyramid under them with new recruits to maximize their own passive income stream. Thus, no business use for the product was needed beyond recruiting for OnPassive, and the investors' profits would come from the recruitment of others into the scheme, rather than from product sales to bona fide retail purchasers. The most heavily marketed aspect of the fraudulent scheme to attract investors was not the potential or value of the purported software application product, but rather the potential size of the income opportunity, about which defendants have made multiple and repeated materially misleading claims. For example, defendants falsely advertised in promotional materials and live and recorded webinars posted to the back office and all over fucking YouTube outlandish potential passive or residual returns to investors that could last for life. The payment grid below, which appeared in OnPassive ebooks and webinars posted to OnPassive's back office at least up through late 2020, purports to show how a participant could receive up to $2,032,614 per month for life. This number is based on the unrealistic assumption that 10 levels of recruits comprising 88,573 commission-generating positions of persons buying in at varying levels would populate the pyramid under the participant. And here it is. Does this look familiar, guys? It should look familiar because when I first started covering, this was their matrix system. And this was the alleged income, right? I have a whole video called the OnPassive Matrix where we went through this. Yep, we did. Illustrative of how defendants use this payment grid is a webinar the defendants broadcasted on September 25th, 2018, and then posted to the company's back office website. Excuse me. In the webinar, Ash stated that the grid showed how it was possible for participants to receive over $2 million per month if up to 10 tiers under them were fully populated, and suggested that $30 million per month was feasible if more than 10 rows were populated. An ebook reviewed and edited by MUFAREH, which, if he's the one doing the reviews and the editing, makes a lot of sense how there's so many errors all the time, and posted to OnPassive's back office with MUFAREH's authorization from December 2021 to August 2022, claimed that a participant could have an infinite team of downstream recruits or downlines, right? From which the participant would draw commissions and earn unlimited residual income for life. Elsewhere, the same ebook stated that a participant could earn thousands and even millions of dollars. $1 million. Additionally, in February 2020, Ash reviewed and approved for posting in the back office a false marketing message from a founder with realistic, conservative, and worst case scenarios that projected founders would earn over $32 million with the system, and which touted the purported income benefits of buying multiple positions. But Ash, you said you never told people to do multiple positions. But you did in February 2020. Oh no. Through the relevant period, MUFAREH knew or was reckless in not knowing that the representation set forth in paragraphs 59 through 63 concerning the purported income that could be earned from investing in the unpassive pyramid scheme were factually unsupportable and materially misleading. As CEO, co-owner, and the ultimate authority over all unpassive operations and statements, Ash's scienter is imputable to OnPassive. A reasonable investor would have wanted to know that OnPassive was a pyramid scheme. So this is why I say, like, you have to be given the chance to make an informed, educated decision. That's kind of their argument here. Is that as a reasonable investor, right? These, like, people are not told what they're getting into. And because they're not educated on that, that's an issue. A reasonable investor would have wanted to know that OnPassive was unsustainable and could never deliver on the passive or residual income MUFAREH and OnPassive promoted to investors. Excuse me. Throughout the relevant period, MUFAREH has known or been reckless in not knowing that OnPassive is a pyramid scheme that has operated and continues to operate as a fraud or deceit on investors. Ash's scienter is imputable to OnPassive. It goes on to say defendants made material misrepresentations in furtherance of the pyramid scheme. In addition to those material misrepresentations addressed in paragraphs 59 through 63 above, and in furtherance of their pyramid scheme, defendants made other materially false and misleading statements or omitted information, which made those statements, which were made, materially misleading. Defendants fraudulently misrepresented that OnPassive was legal and fully compliant. And I've also had people say, you said OnPassive was legal and it's not. Then it doesn't say that. It was misrepresented when called legal and fully compliant. So obviously it's not legal or fully compliant then, huh? During the relevant period, defendants misrepresented to investors that OnPassive was engaged in a legal business when they knew or were reckless in not knowing that they were operating an unlawful pyramid scheme. Defendants' misrepresentations were not made in the form of opinions. Rather, they were made as statements of fact. For example, defendants' misstatements that OnPassive was engaged in a legal business were made in webinars dated September 25th, 2018, July 18th, 2019, and June 11th, 2020, which were posted to the back office. In a webinar dated August 29th, 2019, MUFAREH falsely declared that OnPassive was legal in every country in which it operated, or there would be workarounds to make it legal. Ebooks, which MUFAREH reviewed, edited, and authorized for posting to OnPassive's back office in April 2019, and again in December 2021, stated, "We are fully legal worldwide, and we are fully compliant worldwide, and we will not be shut down by government. They will use our products." The foregoing misrepresentations were material because a reasonable investor would want to know if an investment opportunity was illegal in deciding whether to invest. MUFAREH's entire course of dealings, as alleged in this amended complaint, reflect his awareness that OnPassive is an illegal pyramid scheme. His scienter is imputable to OnPassive. Defendants fraudulently misrepresented the feasibility and timing of product launch. And I know you're like, thank God they're finally getting them in trouble for not launching this thing when it should have. Right? Launch will go on and on. Right? That was half my joke here on my channel with this thing. The never-ending launch. So the good news is, yes, they are getting in trouble for this never-ending launch, okay? MUFAREH, beginning in July of 2018 and OnPassive, following its formation in November 2018, made material misstatements up through at least October 2020 regarding the feasibility and timing of the product launch, while knowing or being reckless in not knowing that they lacked a factual basis for making the statements. Beginning on July 17th, 2018, and continuing through at least October 2018, MUFAREH composed and sent or directed others to send hundreds of emails to potential investors containing the text, I, MUFAREH, will send an update when the program launches in about 1 month. On September 25th, 2018, MUFAREH sent a live webinar, a recording of which was posted to OnPassive's back office. We're closer to launch. We're in the second half, maybe the last third, and you do the math. I don't have a date. I'm going to touch up on that respectfully. It is realistic to launch in the next 30 days? Very much possible, I would say, okay? On October 3rd, 2018, MUFAREH sent a live webinar, a recording of which was posted to OnPassive's back office. We are definitely closer to the launch than when we announced this concept, let's say, in the past. So we're clearly in the probably last third or quarter maybe. In a webinar dated April 25th, 2019, a recording of which was posted to OnPassive's back office, MUFAREH represented that OnPassive would be launched or nearly ready to launch by the end of June 2019, then 2 months away. Saying, in June we will have a kickstart party in Orlando. Do you guys remember this? I remember reacting to this one. Last weekend of June, celebrate launch or opening, whether it's already open or getting tested, just ready to launch. Remember his whole, we're going to have a big party in Orlando thing? I literally remember that. In a webinar dated March 26, 2020 and posted to OnPassive's back office, MUFAREH stated that OnPassive is going to launch. It is everything looking good for 2020. It doesn't launch in 2023 officially, just saying. On August 6, 2020, MUFAREH stated in a webinar, recording of which was posted on OnPassive's back office, that OnPassive is scheduled and set to launch in 2020. 2020! If we need more time, we will let you know right now. We don't feel there's any necessary time to launch. We have plenty of time for the remaining portion of unfinished part of OnPassive to complete it in 2020. MUFAREH thereafter reviewed 6 emails drafted by members of OnPassive's Leadership Council, which reiterated MUFAREH's August 6, 2020 pronouncement that there would be a 2020 launch date, and which were transmitted via OnPassive's official email address to prospective and existing investors on various dates from August 31st through October 31st of 2020. In a webinar dated October 15th, 2020 and posted to OnPassive's back office, MUFAREH stated that all was left was realistically a few weeks of testing, saying, if now we are considered in pre-launch, how much more launch you want? Like, okay, just that ribbon cutting? It will happen. It's a done deal in my mind. That's why I operate as we already have a multi-billion-dollar business in every country on the planet. Each of the foregoing statements was false when made because first, defendants did not have the personnel to develop the applications along the timelines indicated above. And second, to the extent defendants hired personnel and expended resources, at least up through August 2020, it was chiefly to develop OnPassive's back office website used for recruiting new investors, tracking placement in the pyramid structure, and marketing the OnPassive income opportunity. For example, in July 2018, when MUFAREH started making directly or indirectly the first of the statements referenced above that the program would launch in about 1 month, MUFAREH and his wife were the only two persons involved with any aspect of OnPassive's operations, and neither had any expertise to develop a suite of computer applications using AI. Just as we thought, they did not actually have anyone hired, right? Hi, Kendall. Happy Saturday. Hope you're having a good day. We thought this much. Like, we were like, I don't think he has a tech team working for him making these products. So it's good to know for sure, right? That it was just him and his wife, like we thought, and that's it. They don't have the skills to do this. But they still pretended that there was a whole tech team this whole time, right? While defendants retained an information technology IT outsourcing firm in September of 2018 and subsequently brought IT personnel in-house at defendants' direction, the IT firm and in-house personnel focused their efforts, at least during the first 2 years, on developing OnPassive's back office for purposes of recruiting investors rather than the software applications OnPassive was purportedly launching. Yes, that's right. You heard that right. It took them 2 years to make the OES, and it still sucks that much. The first 2 years, they were only working on back office. That's it. Not on any of the products, even though Ash on many different occasions said that they were working on products. It was all a lie. As mentioned, as of August 2020, the same month that the defendants announced that the product suite would include 30 software applications that would work together in an ecosystem, defendants had completed only 2 comparatively simple software applications: an Internet Protocol address, IP tracker, and a uniform resource located, URL shortener, equivalents of what we already readily available to the public online for free. So O-Tracker, right? And O-Trim, which is the URL shortener, O-Trim. Defendants had not launched the 2 software applications, by which defendants had stated they meant the commercial launch of the ecosystem comprised of all applications simultaneously. Moreover, development of most of the 30 applications that were to comprise the ecosystem had not even commenced by August of 2020. Defendant statements about OnPassive's purported product launch were designed to lull investors into believing that a real product launch would occur when in fact no such launch occurred, and no commissions were paid to founders as promised. That was in 2020. It's 2023. November, still waiting. In November of 2022, defendants made available to the general public 4 applications, including the IP tracker, O-Tracker, the URL shortener, O-Trim, all free of charge. Defendants have since offered 2 additional applications available to the general public free of charge. Again, guys, this is the amended part, right? As of June 30th, 2023, the remaining 44 applications had yet to be released, and the product launch defined as the commercial offering of a product, which is supposed to prompt the payment of monthly subscription fees generating commissions, had yet to occur. Defendants' misrepresentations were material to investors' decisions whether to invest, because only after the product launch could investors expect their first returns in the form of commissions. Still don't know what the commissions are going to be. Still don't know what the fuck the products are going to cost. The misrepresentations that a product launch would likely occur within specified short timeframes would also have spurred founders who held free positions to pay their $97 fees before the window closed. At the time he made each of the statements set forth in paragraph 73 above, MUFAREH knew or was reckless in not knowing that the statements were materially false and misleading. Specifically, he knew he was reckless in not knowing at the time of each statement that development of applications had not yet started. Like, obviously he knew, right? Let alone progress to the point that product launch could occur within the time frame specified, and that OnPassive lacked the capacity to develop the applications in the time frame specified. MUFAREH's citor is imputable to OnPassive. So if you ever wanted proof that the whole time that you would say that these things were being worked on, that they were not being worked on, here it is. Every time that this man has said that, oh, it's getting worked on, it's getting worked on, they're not getting worked on, I'd be surprised if they're getting worked on right now. C. Defendants created counterfeit and misleading websites on which to post fake independent third-party positive reviews, in furtherance of their pyramid scheme. In early 2019, pre-existing and independently operated third-party MLM review blog websites, Review Site 1 and Review Site 2, posted multiple negative reviews of the defendants. Illustrative of the negative reviews were the following. On January 7, 2019, Review Site 1 posted that there's inherently nothing of particular interest with OnPassive. It's literally nothing more than a pyramid scheme launched by a serial scammer. Does that sound like odds to you? On or before February 28, 2019, Review Site 2 posted that OnPassive is a scam, and here's our main reason why. No retail products offered. Sure, the company offers a marketing platform that you can gain access to, but only as an MLM affiliate member. The defendants initially responded to the negative reviews by telling participants to ignore the haters. When the negative reviews persisted, however, MUFAREH approved in November 2019 the creation of counterfeit and intentionally misleading websites mimicking the names and appearances of the above-mentioned existing websites and the writing and posting on the counterfeit website of positive reviews of OnPassive and MUFAREH. For those that don't know, they're talking about BehindMLM.com. OnPassive personnel specifically proposed to MUFAREH, and he agreed to the proposal, that they would use these two counterfeit sites as third-party site, write exclusive reviews on our own brand, just like a third person's writing, and use both counterfeit websites to influence the people, with the first target assigned being to knock down those review sites from the search results. Dun dun dun. The names of the two counterfeit sites purposely track the names of the existing MLM review websites in their web URL addresses with slightly altered domain names. The domain extension .us of the counterfeit review site 1 site differed from the domain extension .com of the existing review site 1. And the domain name of the counterfeit reviewed site 2 differed from that of the existing review site 2. Only in the substitution of a singular for the plural of Review Site 2's name. Logos appearing at the top of each page of the counterfeit websites included the text of Review Site 1's and Review Site 2's names. In November 2019, MUFAREH personally registered the two counterfeit websites, paying to have the sites registered under the name of a domain proxy, to conceal his and OnPassive's involvement with the websites. What a moron, right? By concealing their involvement, MUFAREH and OnPassive sought to deceive investors into thinking that the reviews posted on the counterfeit sites were objectively made by independent third parties, like customers who just came across it, As directed by MUFAREH, to whom they reported regularly on their progress, OnPassive personnel set about operating the website starting in late 2019 in a manner to mislead visitors as to the site's objectivity. For example, in the Counterfeit Review Site 1's About section, OnPassive personnel wrote, "Our only objective is to educate users who are searching for companies including MLM primary target industry. We summarize a company's overall status and reputation in the market. These reviews could help any user to identify and decide whether to approach a company or not to, for any business or professional reasons." Further, OnPassive personnel not only posted reviews of MUFAREH and OnPassive, which were uniformly favorable, but also posted reviews of other programs and advice on MLMs generally, which tracked third-party MLM review sites so as to further the deception. As authorized by MUFAREH, OnPassive personnel wrote and posted 7 positive reviews of MUFAREH and OnPassive on the Counterfeit Review Site 2 website between November 2019 and March 2020. 7 of which remained online until at least November 2021, and 6 of which remained online until at least October 2022. One such review, posted on November 30th, 2019, stated, "Do we recommend you join OnPassive? The answer is yes. We do recommend you to be a part of OnPassive, and it's a scam-free, fully legit, and compliant, and has a global presence in more than 100 plus countries." Remember the 100 plus countries thing? Anyone remember that? This is so humiliating. What kind of asshole? Only ass MUFAREH would do that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, do you remember? They were all like, blah, 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 blah. 100 countries. And I was like, there isn't even 100 fucking countries in our world. Okay? You can't be in 100 countries, damn it. You just can't. You can't. He didn't really need to bother. His founders are not exactly in an investigative mindset. They prefer people. It's true. It's true. I believe he would have to be in some kind of trance, right? Hi, Bucky. Good to see you. I hope you're having a fabulous night. So, it's hilarious to me that he did this. By the way, like, I think this shit's funny as fuck. Some of you might remember this happening. If you were reading Oz's reviews at all, you'll remember. Oz wrote a review in which he was like, this dude's opening up these weird websites now, reviewing himself, pretending to be us. It's bizarre. That was an awful Australian accent. I apologize. As authorized by MUFAREH, OnPassive's personnel wrote and posted 6 positive reviews of MUFAREH and OnPassive on the Counterfeit Reviews site too. Oh, I already read this part. Sorry. With all of these advantages in front of my eyes, I couldn't stay blind and not plunge into becoming a member of OnPassive. The creation of the counterfeit websites and posting of fake positive reviews of MUFAREH and OnPassive acted as a deceit on investors by falsely purporting to be objective third-party sites and data. In addition, in omitting to disclose that the sites and reviews were controlled by OnPassive and its personnel, the statements made were materially misleading, and I believe also illegal. I think is it illegal to do that? MUFAREH authorized and participated in the creation of the counterfeit websites and authorized the posting of the internally generated positive reviews of himself and OnPassive, which is creepy as fuck. Imagine being like, hey guys, can you just go and give me a whole bunch of 5-star reviews, please? Like, I don't know, I find it fucking creepy. Go tell everybody how much you love me. This is weird. MUFAREH understood the impact on investors of positive reviews posted to MLM websites, observing in a June 11, 2020 webinar posted to the back office, for example, that someone who spots a positive review online was more likely to register for OnPassive and pay the $97 fee to become a founder. A reasonable investor would have wanted to know that the websites were counterfeit, that they were owned and controlled by MUFAREH and OnPassive, and that the positive reviews were not independent but instead written by OnPassive personnel and approved by Mr. Ash MUFAREH himself. MUFAREH knew or was reckless in not knowing that the creation of the counterfeit websites and posting of fake positive reviews of MUFAREH and OnPassive was a device, scheme, or artifice to defraud, right? And operated or would operate as a fraud or deceit on investors. He's trying to trick people because purporting to be an objective third-party sites and reviews, and that in admitting to disclose that the sites were created and operated by OnPassive and that the postings were internally generated by OnPassive personnel, those statements that were made were materially misleading as a result, because falsely conveying that they were the product of objective third parties. So what they're saying is him pretending to be a third party here proves that he knew that he was doing something wrong, or that he would have to state that it was coming from him and OnPassive if he didn't pretend to be a third party. Therefore, no matter what, him pretending to be a third party and doing this is deceitful. Like, he almost can't claim innocence, you know? He shot himself in the foot several times throughout this. It's beautiful. He's just limping around now. Further, MUFAREH knew or was reckless in not knowing that the operation of the pyramid scheme, the creation of the counterfeit websites, and the material misrepresentations and omissions collectively constituted a scheme to defraud and operated or would operate as a fraud or deceit on investors. MUFAREH's scienter is imputable to OnPassive. They're just happy being members, I think, right? We're just going to take a short break. Enjoy this lovely OnPassive ad. Wasn't that like super duper exciting? It wasn't the In It to Win It song, Ken, unfortunately. I know that song's my favorite too. But don't worry, I played that on my opening, and I'll play it on my outro, like I always do. So we're just going to read through a few more. We're basically just going to finish off this part here. And then tomorrow I will continue on with what they're asking of OnPassive. So this stream will be all of the problems and why this is all happening. The amendment added in there. And then tomorrow we're going to go over, there's not that many pages left, and there's a couple other things I want to talk to you guys about too that we'll talk about either tomorrow or Monday. I'm not going to promise tomorrow. We might have to wait until Monday. Because I want to talk about some things to do with it and what that all means. And we've already been going for 3 fucking hours. I didn't realize how long we were going for. So, number 3 here is that defendants engaged in the unregistered offer and sales of security. Okay? When I am talking about how OnPassive is an unregistered business, this is what I mean. Okay? I don't mean OnPassive did not go and register as an LLC. All right? They engaged in the unregistered offer and sale of securities. So, federal securities laws require that those offering or selling securities disclose certain information by filing a registration statement with the S.E.C, Securities and Exchange Commission, the S.E.C. Apparently here in Canada we're weird because we call it S.E.C. I don't know. This information allows investors to make informed judgments about whether to purchase the securities. This is why I keep going on about how the layman, the usual investor, okay, a customer of this thing, anyone is not given the information necessary or the education needed to make an informed decision or judgment, as they put it in here as a judgment, about whether or not they should be a part of this in any way. So when I'm talking about how they expect people to sign up to be a reseller, for example, but then they don't know what the compensation plan and business plan is. That's a good example of that. It is unfair. Okay? Hi, Matt, Taylor. If you want to write me an email about that, or whoops, that's the wrong one. I just sent you my wrong email. Hold on. For some reason, I went, don't do the auto stuff. Don't do this one. This is my email. This is my email. Forget that first one. It auto posted it on me. And then I was like, wait, that's both of my emails mixed together. Not one of them. If you write me at this email, all right? And send me any of the information you have on that. It is about time that I do a good old update on a what. So, I can definitely talk to you about that, and maybe we can set up something for next week. Right now, though, I got to cover this scam. So, a lot of what this is about is the fact that investors, right, and the people were not given the information to make that informed decision. Okay, and therefore, technically, no, my PayPal is TE Gibbons 03 at Hotmail. See, and that's what happened. It somehow it wrote out T Gibbons, and I was gonna give one of them, but then when I did the auto thing, it put the end of my other one on there instead, and I was like, no, that's not that's wrong. Yeah, no, I know. I'm not using Omail. I'm very, very bad. I'm very bad. So, like, that's why that part is so important to me. Because to me, like purposely keeping information from people who would be joining this company or purchasing from it in any way, that is one of the big, like, fuck ups that they did here. That's the worst thing, right? It's extremely unethical of a business practice. All this other stuff is crummy, but this is something that shouldn't even exist to me. It should be very, very easy for the company to offer up information about themselves and keep everybody informed on what's going on. And update it and whatnot. That's what we complain about the most over here, is that this isn't done properly, right? So to me, this is the most important part of this whole thing, was the fact that OnPassive failed to disclose this certain information to the S.E.C, and due to that, the investors and future customers, anyone in this thing, is not technically able to make that informed decision. It's so funny to me how the founders get so emotional, excited to see a building light up. Tell me this is not cult-like actions. It is cult-like actions. Exactly. Maybe we need to go over the bite model again. And just, now it's been like a couple years. Go over the bite model again and talk about OnPassive, because I'm sure we could check off some more things. So they say, MUFAREH OnPassive offered and sold opportunities to invest in a pyramid scheme to the general public, including investors throughout the U.S., and raised at least $108 million in investor proceeds. MUFAREH, as in Ash, and OnPassive pooled these investor funds to operate the business to include developing and marketing the purported ecosystem of software applications and make the pyramid opportunity profitable. Accordingly, investors' expectations of profit were, and still are, dependent on Ash MUFAREH and OnPassive's ability and supposed efforts to develop the purported product and make the pyramid opportunity a profitable endeavor. They also don't tell them any information about what's really going on with the product production, right? The offer and sale of the opportunity to participate in OnPassive, which is a pyramid scheme, constituted an investment contract and therefore a security. The offer and sale of opportunity to participate in OnPassive pyramid scheme was not registered with the S.E.C. No exemption from registration applied. This is why I keep saying OnPassive was not registered with the S.E.C. and they never got an exemption, which you can allegedly either apply for, or there's certain stipulations in which you might be exempt from this. And OnPassive is not included in that. Therefore, they should have registered this investment contract idea, basically like this business, right, with the SEC. They can't even right now, technically, not only because of the lawsuit, but as I keep pointing out, they haven't even really worked that out yet. There isn't a commission plan. There's not even really a business plan in writing. Those two things have to exist, right? In order for a real like investment business contract to really be legal and then sent to the SEC. You know what I mean? Like they have to have it all in order to send it all, in order to register this idea. And because none of that has happened, that's what they're really in trouble for. This is what set off the lawsuit, right? I like to think that they looked into a few things and they were like, what are they doing over here at OnPassive? And then they were like, a lot of illegal weird stuff. And then they just made a list of all of it here. But this is the real, like, legal fuck up that OnPassive did. In order for Ash to have righted this wrong in any way, like I said, he would have had to have had all of that worked out. How does a business get evaluated with no model or plan to even? And that's what I'm saying. The only, like, and I think Ash thinks that if he releases OutConnect and charges people for it, then that constitutes as a product. Because one of the issues with it being a pyramid scheme is that there was no product. But he forgot this whole part. Because if you're expecting investors, you have to have an investment contract. To have that, you have to then register all of this with the S.E.C. So, like, he's still not doing what he got in trouble for not, like, you know what I mean? And I don't know if he can fix this now in any way. Like, I don't know if he came out with a whole business plan and commission plan tomorrow and then had everyone sign it and, like, sent it off, you know, to let them all know about this investment contract. I think the S.E.C. would be like, too bad, we're already suing you, dude, you know? Hello, Scam Chan. Good to see you. Pretty lights and colors are what OnPassive is about. All over the website, every few days they change it. Ash swears this isn't an investment, but just for you to hold your position to buy a product. Yes, but the second he took that $97 and called them founders, in any way, shape, or form of the word, even with an O in front of it, or go in front of it, right? Because it used to be go founders. Technically, by doing that, and this is what Alana and I were wondering when we first started covering this too, if you don't remember, is we were like, technically, like, it is a public investment then. Like, these people are technically investors, founders, or whatnot. It's just he doesn't give them what most founders of companies would receive. You know? Scams MUFAREH. You're welcome, Mark. But see, this is the whole thing, what Bucky said here. It's like, he couldn't have. I mean, like, technically, yeah, it's an investment contract. Because they say, yes, we gave you this $97 to hold our place. That's the only contract they really have here. Like I keep saying, the reseller thing is just a checkbox. I don't know how legal that is. Based on how they outline it here, it doesn't sound to be the most legal way of going about that, you know? Like, even in that case, like I said, usually then you would have to sign some kind of like business contract, have a compensation plan agreement. You have to agree to it. There's a lot of legalities with that, right? So it's like he fucked himself from the very beginning. Plus, also, Marty told the S.E.C. to bite me. The S.E.C. has to crush them now. I'd love the people at the S.E.C. to be sitting there like, oh, this motherfucker just said bite me. I'm gonna fucking get him. I'm gonna get him so fucking good. I like the idea that since taking founder investment, no one has really said what founders get for being a founder. And that's the thing, is that technically all you got, like, and this isn't just based on what he said, it's also on paper and how this whole thing would work. All you got was your position at the top of the pyramid. That's what you were paying for. And the reason why they won't talk about that now is because selling that is legitimately selling a pyramid scheme. So it's like he can't say that without basically being like, we were selling a pyramid scheme. You bought a place on a pyramid. That's what that is, you know? That's what they got. It says it many times in this document. And it's like he even kind of promoted it as such. O-Net, O-Mail, is it mirrors everything in search of the big O. They're in search of the big O, and Marty's still in search of his Johnson so that he could have it. So, like, they just fucked themselves. I almost think that by taking the $97 from people, he obviously fucked himself, right? Because now it's $108 million that he owes, right? So, because this was never registered with the SEC, right? Like they just said, right? All of this constituted an investment contract, and it was a security. Because it's a security, they're supposed to let the Securities and Exchange Commission know. They did not. Okay? Right? It requires those offerings or selling securities disclose certain information by filing a registration statement. The registration statement was never filed. So since none of that happened, right? So since that happened, as a result, now they have this. Defendants and relief defendant Asmahan MUFAREH, Ash's wife, which I have to be honest, when we first saw that name on the LLC documents, because like you could go and look up OnPassive's information, and she would pop up as one of the. Be honest, a lot of us thought it was just him in like a fake name as like a second person. I didn't realize it was his wife for the longest fucking time. I was like, who is this other person that's like listed? And I was like, it's the exact same name as his, but like with different letterings pretty much, you know, like Asmahan isn't that far off from ASHRAF. So I was like, is he like just got all of this in his name and then also like a fake name? Like, what is going on? It was so confusing. So I'm glad that eventually we figured out it was his wife. So since all of that happened and none of this was, the registration statement was never sent to the SEC, defendants had raised in excess of $108 million in illicit proceeds from investors as of March 2023. Ill-gotten gains were received by defendants from investors through a variety of different methods, including in crypto assets, cash, check, wire transfers, and various third-party payment services, like those weird cards that they made people get, which ended up costing everyone $130 American to buy in. All of these payments went into accounts which were and or are subject to MUFAREH and or his wife's control. MUFAREH and or Mrs. MUFAREH have converted a sizable quantity of investor payments into crypto assets while holding their proceeds in accounts with financial institutions. From these proceeds, the MUFAREHs have expended substantial sums on personal expenses, including fine dining, like at Red Lobster, luxury resort stays, like at the Marriott, car rentals, got a Beetle, day spas. You know, they both went to the spa. Hair salons, I hope for hers, because we've all seen his hair. Martial arts lessons. I don't know why most of my cows do martial arts or think that they're into karate and how I keep getting blessed with that, but I'll take it. And jewelry purchases. As Mahan MUFAREH, the wife, has received ill-gotten funds and does not have a legitimate claim to those funds. Because as I discussed earlier, Ash wasn't smart enough to hire her as something in the company. So she has no reason to receive 1 cent from OnPassive. Usually scammers hire the person that they're doing that with as the CFO or like the assistant CEO or whatever, you know? Something, damn it. Their secretary, like something. So that the funds from the company going into that person's account isn't odd. Luckily for us, Ash is not intelligent, even as a scammer. So he did not do that. And either tomorrow or Monday, I'll let you know, stay tuned for it. We're going to get into the claims for relief. And then we're going to also talk about like what the possibilities for this could be. We're going to have some fun and just kind of talk about that and what this all means going forward with the amendment and blah, 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 blah. And I might even look into, I might look into if you're abroad, if you can get in on this, because the wording is very much like you can, but I don't want to say that it includes everyone instead of just the people in the US. If it doesn't include people in Canada, though, and you are here in Canada and you're a part of this thing, like Robert, if you're still around, please do get a hold of me, because once this is well on its way to going through, I am working on getting Canada to go after them. I have been. I just know it will be a lot easier once this is kind of like in the works. Even if it's already in the courts, I can then be like, look, this thing's getting sued by the S.E.C. I am not even going to lie to you when I say I have been copying and pastaing the S.E.C. complaint to do my complaints lately to places here in Canada, because I'm trying to get something going with it here too at the same time. If you are in another country other than the US or Canada and you would like to help out by starting the process in your country, again, this is my email. Please get a hold of me. And I think that we can all work this out, because going forward, my plan is to do that with as many people in as many places as possible. It has been banned in Bhutan. I've covered that. There's a whole video on it. I know they're covering Hunbot has also covered it extensively as well. So it is possible to get them in more trouble than just with the S.E.C. in the USA. And I have a lot of time on my hands where I can do things like that. So please do get a hold of me. I have no problem looking up the laws where you are and then figuring out how we can go forward where you are as well, if you feel like heading that in your area. I would love it. And no matter where you are, what you're doing, I hope that you all have a fabulous, fabulous rest of your night. I'm going to lose my voice if I keep talking. I need to save it for future. So I will see you all either tomorrow or Monday. It might be Monday because tomorrow's Sunday, so I don't know. Might be doing family stuff all day. So stay tuned to the community tab, and then I'll share it out there. And I'll see you all very, very soon for sure with the rest of this and with other ones. I got a lot coming next week, so stay tuned for that. I love you all. Have a great night. Mwah. Bye now, of course, in it to win it.
We